What did you do for a summer job? Most of us had mundane jobs to make a few bucks between the school years. Not Calvin Chrustie. Take a listen to what it was like as a 20-year-old working in one of the most violent policing locations in Canada.
So the RCMP called me up that spring and said, hey, we've got some good news for you, maybe some bad news too, but and then they offered me a summer job to kind of help me continue on with my education in light of the fact that there wasn't any full-time employment. So I took the summer job. I said, what's the good news? They said, hey, we got the summer job. I said, well, what's the bad news? Because that was a little concerning that they threw that one in. And the bad news was, well, we're not sure what you're going to think of it, but from our personal thing, it's going to be your best life experience. And that was summer at Norway House, Manitoba, which was at that time, I think there was probably 12 members there, 13 members in northern Manitoba. I think they had like 7 or 8 fly-in reserves where you'd go with another member and they'd drop you off the plane and pick you up a week later or 5 days later. And I think at that time it was considered probably in policing like the most violent collection of communities from a policing perspective. So it was a complete eye opener. Going from the theory of a university to God's Lake Narrows in northern Manitoba, and arriving in the community. And I don't know if it was more than 2 hours arriving in the community before, I think I was in Norway House for a couple of weeks, but when I went to God's Lake Narrows, which was kind of the epicenter of violence at that time, I don't think I was in that community for more than 2 hours before I got punched in the face the first time. And I started thinking all this theoretical stuff at university has some application, and it's definitely interesting, but the world's a slight different place than academia.
So how old were you at that point?
I was probably 22. I was probably 20, actually. Yeah, maybe 20 at that point, yeah.
Does the RCMP still run that type of program?
I'm sure they run it, but I don't think they ran it like they did then, because on Sunday night, and I mentioned this before that I'd probably get in trouble saying it, but like on Sunday nights, would be we were in a very isolated community, so the boys would get together. Like I lived in single man barracks, there was 6 of us living there, and it was kind of like, hey, let's get the steaks out, a case of beer, and particularly Sunday nights, that would be kind of the boys' night. And if the boys were on night shift, they would put me on night shift by myself. And so I would patrol that community. That was a community of like 5,000 people, and it was a violent community. So I remember driving around, going to gun complaints and going to other complaints, that night in domestic disputes and not armed, doing the patrol and just kind of keeping my fingers crossed. And when I reflect back on it, I kind of probably wasn't the wisest decision that I made, but different times, different place.